Okay, councillors, if I can have your attention, please. Big hands on the 12, therefore it's 1 o'clock and we will open the monthly council meeting. A couple of little bits of housework to do. Firstly, I would call for apologies, which I have from Councillor Henderson and Councillor Truman. Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Move Councillor Kirk, second Councillor Johnson, all in favour? Aye, thank you. So carried. Yeah, we'll too. Sorry, we'll put an apology for Mike Downer for lateness. I know he worked all night last night, but the cyclist came around to East Cape with security. I'm sure he won't be far away. We'll add his, with your blessing, folks, for lateness. Thank you, Mr. McLeod. Couple of little bits of homework I want to do before we go to item 1. I'd like to introduce down the back the gentleman in white there, if you wouldn't mind standing. That's Councillor Stuart Davis. Councillor Stuart Davis is a councillor from the Metropolitan Borough Council of Solihull, and soon to be, I believe, Fritz Falk's father-in-law. And I think you all know Sonia and Fritz. He's around somewhere. Here he is, hiding behind there. So soon to be, we all hope. So welcome. Welcome. I hope you don't mind me calling you Stuart. We've had a chat in the office, and he wants to sit through our council meeting today. So welcome to you. You're welcome. Another thing I'd like to do just before we move into the agenda, it's a little bit of a sad day today, but Cheryl Donaldson. Cheryl Donaldson will be leaving us. This is her last council meeting. She's been with council, she had one small break to have her family, but she has a total of 35 years service to the council. And I know on behalf of all my councillors, and I know on behalf of all the other staff, you've been a real fun person to work with up here on the, shall we call it, the top floor. And it is your last meeting, so, you know, very, very big thanks from all of us. You've been here a lot longer than, maybe not Barry, but the rest of us. So I've enjoyed my 4 or 5 years with you, so congratulations, Dom. Good on you. You want to go get all that? Okay, so having done that, if you'd make sure all your speakers are on, please. And firstly, I will be introducing an item number 1, which is a presentation from Enterprise Great Lake Taupo. I see Fritz there. Is Sue de Beverly coming? Oh, she's over in the corner. Hi Sue, welcome, or Mr. Beverly. We know each other too well. So if I'll hand over to you both to do your report on Enterprise Great Lake Taupo. Thank you. Welcome, Mr. Beverly.
Thank you very much, Rick. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here this afternoon. It's always great for us to have the opportunity just to let you know what we're doing. I guess the past 12 months has really been about building the team Taupo, and I guess Team New Zealand as well. And Fritz just asked me to just run you through the composition of our board, because you obviously probably know me and you probably know Fritz, but you may not know that there's a lot of people working with us in Enterprise Great Lake Taupo. So obviously I'm the chair, and I've been the chair for around about 18 months now. Danny Lachlan is a representative member from Turangi-Tongariro Māori Trust Board. He's been on the trust from the beginning, and he is invaluable to the trust in terms of giving us insight into not only obviously the concerns of Turangi-Tongariro, but also very importantly for me, he keeps me on the straight and narrow with governance matters, which he's very strong in. The deputy chair. There he is, Tom Finlay. Tom has also, I believe, been on the board since the get-go, and he represents the Clean Energy Centre effectively. So he's really there to look after clean tech interests. And I think it's important that the councillors understand that this is largely a representative board. So the people are appointed by their organisations. We have Paul Fallon, who represents Destination Great Lake Taupo. And unfortunately for Paul, he's had a bit of a tricky 12 months on the personal front. So Paul Winter, who is the chair of Destination Great Lake Taupo, actually joined us on our strategy day, which was fantastic to have him there. Darren Edge from Town Centre Taupo. Darren is a great pragmatist, great sense of humour, always contributes, and a really good guy. We have Rob Marshall, who's the head of the Chamber of Commerce, and they're appointed by the Chamber. I guess Rob's strengths are particularly in understanding some of the land use issues and the water use issues that are in our region, and obviously a great pragmatist, good sense of humour, good guy. We have Jeff Thorpe, who actually is your representative. So he is there to look after the interests of Taupo District Council. He's also on the Lake Taupo Forest Trust. And he's part, I guess, one of the great attractions for us, he's also part of the Tū Wharetoa's commercial interests in the region, and he brings that in. Those are all the representative people. Now, we have a few wild cards in there as well. We're allowed up to 4 independent members, trustees. And last year, was it last year, Andy? I think it was in the last calendar year, Andy Blair very kindly agreed to come on their trust. Now, I don't know if all of you know Andy, but she is the Commercial Development Manager for GNS. And she's basically the go-to girl in the geothermal world if you have a good idea and you want to know where to go. Andy's been a huge asset in helping us not only understand the sector, which is fundamental to this region, but I think more importantly, she knows everybody. So if we need a contact point, she's can get us into contact, get us into MRP. And that has made all the difference to our work in the last 12 months. We've recently also just been joined, very recently, this year by Greg Stebbing. I think Greg's here. Greg, I don't know if any of you personally know Greg. He's had an affiliation with this region for a long time, although he hasn't always lived and worked here. But his particular expertise is in the wood processing sector. So obviously, if we're looking at any kind of wood processing in this region, he's a huge asset to our board. Have I missed anybody? I don't believe so. And then there's me. I'm going to pass over to Fritz now, and he's going to talk about the activities of the Trust.
Thank you very much, Mr. Beverly, and thank you for introducing us to all your members, and welcome to you both. And Mr. Stebbing, you're actually a genuine Taupui, and you're born and bred and schooled here. That's right. Well done. So thank you very much. And just a small thing, Ms. McLeod tells me that we will hand you out some hard copies later of this presentation that you can refer back to. Okay, thank you, Mr. Falk.
Great, thank you very much. I'm just bouncing around. Great to be here again, and great to report on what we've been doing in the last year, but more importantly also what we're planning to do going forward. Now, I'd also like to introduce the team that I'm working with this as myself. We've also got Anne Battersby here. She's also going to be hearing from her a little bit later. She's over here. Just put your hand up, Anne. And we've got Matthew over here sitting behind me. So it's always quite important to introduce the people that are actually making the things happen, because quite often it's people that are making things happen. Quickly, I want to talk about how we fit into the whole scheme of things. It's just working. Do we need this microphone here, or can we just talk without the microphone? We can. Okay, fine. We're going to see how we fit into the overall scheme of things as well. And the White House, obviously, as it's known, number 66 Para Happy Street is sort of where most of the organisations are hosted. And that's really quite crucial that the team that I work with, Matthew and Anne, myself, that we're hosted there, and it's a really great place because we've got in there Destination Great Lake Taupo, the town centre people, we've got Nick Reed who does the events, we've got Kylie who looks after the Erupts Arts Festival and all the other events there, and we've got Tracy Lee, and it's just really great with some of the visitors coming into the place saying, hey look, I've got a great idea for an event and I also need some business help. We can just quickly gather together, and that's just actually how it works at the moment. And it's taken a long time to get all these agencies into one building. And we really want to stress the point that is really, really beneficial for the region, because it's just a one-stop shop. People don't have to go all over the place. And it's just really, really quite clever. Also this year, for the first time, we as the White House sort of got together, even though we have different governance bodies, we actually sat together and figured out some ways of how can we make this work better and how can we work together a bit better. Because all these Ironman coming to town, for example, to give you a simple idea there, lots of them are business people. So this year we said, look, we sent an email out from Tracy Lee's and she said, look, who wants to be paired with a local business community? And she had a staggering 89 responses. So there were 89 people that ranged from teachers to nutritionists to a physicist who wanted to be teamed up with local businesses. So we're looking across the White House and saying, rather than spend more money, how can we just use some of the knowledge we have in there to just further what we're doing? So about 79 of those people got matched with someone in this district, and there's going to be some benefit from this somewhere. And it's been taken up quite well. Going on from there, we then looked at ourselves. Okay, we're in the White House. How do we fit into the region? And this is something we worked quite a bit on last year. And as you can see on the demonstration there, we sort of aligned ourselves a lot more with the Bay of Plenty there, with the Bay of Connections. There's a grouping there of the local councils here. And that's been really paying off, because a lot of their things that I'm talking about later, what the sectors they're interested in, like forestry, geothermal, align very much with us. and have been very, very proactive. We've been having great support from the Bay of Connections Committee there, and several of their teams have travelled away with us. They've given us some funding, and what's more, they've actually included Taupo in their scheme of things, because in the past they sort of didn't even see us as part of the Bay of Plenty, which logically we actually belong to Waikato, but we found also tourism, we have a lot more affiliation with the Bay of Plenty. But we thought, no, hang on, we can have a bar beach way here. And we also have an affiliation still with Waikato. They're sort of just getting together with their strategic work a lot more. We're working with the Waikato Regional Council, Tarek, there's some people there, and also Opportunity Hamilton, who through New Zealand Trade and Enterprise also has some funding there that we are geographically aligned to. So to cut this short, basically we've got a bar each way, but we're orientating ourselves a little bit more towards the Bay of Connections, but making sure we're just keeping in the whole picture there. The other thing too, and it's not on the slide there, we've also looked at this year going, lots of the projects we're doing, we need a lot more support out of Wellington, and we have to thank Louise Upson for that, and we've really gone a long way now to making connections in Wellington and just pushing things from the national level rather than just a regional level, and seeing those things coming to fruition, and I'll talk about that a bit later. Going back a slide, like when we came here last year, we presented exactly this slide, and we sort of gave an outline of the strategy that we looked at the time, how we're going to implement dealing with all these varying different businesses we have, all the way from Mangakino all the way to Turangi. And if you can remember from the slide there, there's only about 3% of all businesses who have 19 staff or more. So around about 97% of all businesses in this district are 19 staff or less. If you group that down smaller, it's actually 89% of businesses have less than 6 staff. So that is quite common for all of New Zealand. But what that means is we had to sort of work in 2 different spheres here. And how we've done that is we split pretty much what we're doing into small and medium enterprises, and apologies for the abbreviations, the word just got too long. Small and medium enterprise up to 19 staff. We have programs and systems for that. We have the High Growth Initiative, which we had funding for last year, and I'll talk to this a little bit later, and also Matthew's here to talk about that, because that's his baby. And then we have the large businesses and attraction of 19 full-time employees or more. And that is the thing where we can see Taupo really making some headway, because that is the area we can get the biggest amount of jobs, and that's what we're here to do, to create jobs, and I will present on this a little bit later. So these are the 3 segments we've broken down into, and I'll give you a quick rundown of what we've done, some of these things. So why do we believe that entrepreneurs and small business are important to the district? It's really quite simple. This is out of the Paul Callan presentation I showed you last year. These are the fastest, or some of the biggest technology companies in New Zealand. You see Fisher & Paykel just over $1 billion turnover. But to get to those companies at the end, you need to have a large pipe at the other end somewhere. So to get to these 10, 20 top companies, we need to make sure that the smaller companies, and especially the entrepreneurs, and some of the people here that have some clever ideas and some clever thinking, get some help, which at the moment is kind of tricky. And I'll talk to this a little bit, and Matthew is quite passionate about that. So we wanted to make that pipe as big as we can and start off with as many of those people as we can, that maybe just 1 or 2 of those people will get to this top level in the end, but that would be the biggest breakthrough we can hope for here in the Taupo District. And there's been an amazing amount of people we unearthed, and I'll leave that for Matthew to talk about. So in the small and medium enterprise sector, what we're doing there is the business courses, the business mentoring. We've got the industry events. We also, the startups, we do a lot of research. We've have an economist that writes up a study every 3 months and a report. We've got the commercial property monitor for the first time, which is done by a local company for us, and the Young Entrepreneur Network. Breaking this down even a bit more further here, and one of the projects that we did last year, I'd like to have Anne Battersby talk to you about the business mentors. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Anne Battersby, and I've been lucky enough to have been with Enterprise Great Lake Taupo for a whole year now. I'm special projects, but one of my big thrusts is running the Business Mentors program in Taupo. Basically, the Business Mentors program is it's a service provided to small and medium-sized businesses where mentors that are respected business people give up their time on a voluntary basis, and anyone can apply for a mentor, and the fee is $100 plus GST for 2 years mentoring. So it's incredibly accessible, and it's a fantastic program, and Rex Mincher is one of my mentors. This time last year, the business was run out of Taupo, so we had a guy in Rotorua that all the businesses that were applying for a mentor, their data went through to Rotorua, and this chap matched them up with a very small number of mentors based in Taupo. And we decided that we could probably do a better job, so we talked to Business Mentors New Zealand, and we rocked the boat a bit, and we have now the sub-agency, so we're running Business Mentors through Taupo, so we're matching Taupo businesses with Taupo mentors. The business mentors all give their time voluntarily, and we managed to recruit 5 new mentors this time last year. Because Taupo is such a lovely small community, we felt that we could shoulder tap people that we thought would be good contributors, and so that's how we started off, getting a really good base, and then it's just grown and grown from there. This is a list of our current mentors. So this time last year we had about 4 mentors, and now we've got this list of amazing people. And as you can see, there's probably 3 retired gentlemen in that list, and the rest are really active, busy people within the business community who voluntarily give up an hour or 2 a week to support business and lift business capability in our district. So we're very lucky having such a wonderful small community that's willing to give so much to business. This time, after about 6 months, we went and got ourselves an A quality rating, so there were only 2 handed out throughout the whole of New Zealand, so that's how well the program's working in Taupo. So we've now got 16 business mentors, and last year the whole of Rotorua and Taupo matched 8 businesses, and within 6 months we had matched 31 businesses, so that's 31 businesses just in our district that have been supported and assisted, and only a couple of those we've had to give exit strategies to. The rest has all been raising capability, so the program's working really well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Battersby.
Thank you, Anne. Adding on to the business mentors as well, we've hosted another 18 events during the year, which is everything from the Ready to Shine, from business capability seminars that we had, as well as some of the movers and shakers. And we had 723 people attend those events. And most of those events were free. We funded them out of our budget, or we've gotten people to just actually run them for us out of this district for free. And one of the main ones that we're running is sort of the movers and shakers. We'll run this sort of 3 times a year. We invite about 150 of the major businesses around here, and we have got John Key coming on the 14th of March, speaking at Bayview. So we'll have the invitations coming out to you, and this is just one of the events where we're just putting people in the room. And quite often it's been quite amazing where people in the geothermal field haven't talked to people in the wood processing field, and people that were in agriculture had never spoken to anybody else. So it's really good to get these key people in a room, have some quality speakers, get them together, and just get those people together and provide opportunities and facilitate that they get together. One of the things we're really, really excited about, and I alluded to it a bit earlier when I showed you this Paul Callahan graph, where we want to get more people into businesses and especially high-value businesses. And we thought we need to start right at the bottom, at the bottom, not the bottom, but right at the start. And the start for us is sort of being the secondary schools. So we've partnered last year with a Young Enterprise scheme. And it's a scheme, I think they had some of the Dragon's Dens actually here in the council chambers, where people out of Taupo-Tia and all the way to Rotorua, they can come in and they come up with some products that they can sell. So these school kids actually get given an ID account, they actually get help with Xero, they have an accounting system, and they build these teams with these products that they then try and sell and match up, and it's a really good program. Last year we didn't have any funds to give, but we gave a lot of our time, but this year we've just freed up some of our funds and also put some of those funds towards that program. It's run again this year, we're part of it in a big way. The winners last year, this is obviously not going to make the district millions of dollars, but it was a really, really good story to see that the sink guys who've had those cards we've just dropped off to you, they've sold about 3,000 of those decks. They've sourced them themselves, and they sold really, really well. They actually made some good profit. They won the regional finals held in Rotorua. And then they had a chance to meet the Prime Minister here when he was in Taupo, and that was a real buzz for these kids. So it's just great to see. So following on from the Young Enterprise Scheme, then we thought, right, if we're starting them in school and they're coming out of school, we need to just make sure that they don't fall in the cracks. We need to help these people along. And what we did there last year was to help Sue de Beaver. She started this program actually off. It was called the Regional High Growth Initiative from the Share to Stock Exchange. And Matthew Simmons, who's just joined us this year, he's taken over, and I'd let him introduce you to the system and how it works.
Good afternoon. My name is Matthew Simmons, and I've been here exactly a year and 2 days.
Matthew, excuse me, sorry mate, that's not the mic, that's your zapper. Go back to the start again for a second.
That's okay. We'll get there.
All right, mate. Can happen to the best of us.
Here we go.
Okay, so that's the forward button.
This is the forward button. Sorry.
Not the record button. So good afternoon. So yes, my name's Matthew Simmons, and really thrilled to be here. So Sue asked me to help her along with her project last year, which was just a trial program to see if we could actually help people with their ideas or their widgets or their emerging businesses. And what we found after going through a certain process is that there were three primary things we wanted to make sure of. First of all, did they have an idea that was scalable? Could we take it from a small idea and potentially make it a big business? Secondly, could we not only sell this business or this product locally, but did it have potential for export so the market wasn't just limited to New Zealand? And thirdly, did this idea or product or widget have the potential of actually having some high value jobs? And so with those three criteria in mind, we interviewed about, 22 people put their hands up based on an ad that Sue did, and we actually Sue chose about 11 to go through the program. And 13 was the number of sponsors from the local community that have businesses that were keen on supporting these people by the likes of giving them an hour or two of their support and wisdom. And what we found, what we found is that for a lot of these people, they'd never been in business before. They'd actually gone through the process of inventing something and even patenting it, but they didn't know what the next step was. And not only that, they didn't know that the problems that they were having were actually normal for business, irrespective of what their value was. So for this program, it was not only worthwhile for Sue and I to go through this, but there were 2 or 3 people that came out of this that greatly benefited from having access to knowledge and perspective that they hadn't had in their own little headspace. There was a gentleman down in Turangi who had invented a fence post. He didn't know what to do and how to make it he did patent it, but he didn't know how to take it further, and that process went very well for him. And there's some other people who've now relocated permanently to Taupo to expand their business here. So with that success, these guys said that we should carry this on. You want to say anything else? Okay, we'll see you again.
And we look forward to it.
You might be wondering, Matthew is quite modest also. Like, you might be wondering why we've got Matthew in this. Like, Matthew himself has some joint patents with Disney and Sony, so he's an entrepreneur himself. He knows how these things work, and it's been really great having Matthew on this team. It's quite funny. It's one of those Taupo stories again. It was like last year, Tracy Lee comes over to me in my office in the hub and says, "Hey, look, I just bumped into this guy in the hot pools down there, and his name was Matthew, and he was a really, really interesting guy. So you need to call him." So I called Matthew up and I said, "Matthew, I heard you got some interesting stuff going. Like, what are you doing? How did you come here?" He said, "Well, our house just fell over and we kind of didn't like Christchurch. We wanted to go somewhere else. So they've just arrived in Taupo. They've been given a house over at the Tahara Centre." And Matthew just turned out to have this vast knowledge of how to get things from small widgets into commercial products and then actually sell them to the world. So we thought, who better qualified than to actually put someone in charge of this program who actually has done it himself, because there's lots of people talking about it, but Matthew's actually done it. So we're really excited to have those people on our team, because we can make that little money we have go so much further if we have passionate people like Matthew involved, and that's where this fits in. So taking on from Matthew, we've got also this slide is actually from last year's presentation, which is the large businesses we talked about, and we're saying that these are game-changing businesses with 19 plus staff. So these are businesses that are on a large scale, that will take a medium to long-term time frame, so it'll take a little bit longer to get them going. And what we found in the meantime there too, and what we wanted with this program, is that we needed council, regional authority, and also national government as active partners, because we cannot do these things ourselves. As you know, like some of the emission controls are in Waikato. If you wanted any funding out of anywhere, it's all in Wellington. So we needed to get through to all these people and attack it pretty much from all angles. Find the end market, but at the same time have support out of Wellington, the regional and the local councils, to make sure it works. And there's 3 things we're working on right now that I'd be happy to talk to. Just the basics at this point. And here's some of the people that are involved in this. So the mill project is something we're working on right now. And the idea behind this is actually, we wouldn't have gotten this never off the ground without Mark Day, the gentleman in the middle. He works for the District Council here. And Chris Marquia, who works for New Zealand Trade and Enterprise, and also Will Samuels from the business unit. Like, without Chris Marquia, I wouldn't even be talking about this project here today. He was sort of one of the early adopters that saw the potential in this. And to in a nutshell, to give you some idea what this project is about, the Chinese, in their latest 5-year plan, through our sister city relationship in Suzhou, they have been given a 5-year plan to reduce energy consumption in what they deem low-value industries, and have identified log processing in China as one of their low-value industries that they want to shift out of China, and they want to free up this energy and put it into the IT sector where they're making a lot more money. So that's a 5-year directive. They have to fulfill this. This is one of their plans they have to fulfill. And Suzhou, through our sister city relationship, has got about 4,500 furniture manufacturers who are all heavy relying on this wood to arrive there in good quality. So through Mark Day and Chris Mark here, this project has taken on kind of a speed of its own now, where we're now having briefing papers to John Key and Tim Grosser. And we're hosting John Key here and giving him another personal briefing on the matter. We've also got PricewaterhouseCoopers involved, who are actually preparing the China policy for the national government. And this project is one of the 4 marquee projects that's been highlighted in their plan to going forward. Because the beauty with this one is there's no land sales. They're quite happy to lease, so it'll be quite a simple and quite a palatable project on a large scale that is going on right now. And again, we've used our sister city connections there. We said, right, let's just use this for something else other than just host them on the lake. And Suzhou has been amazing. They've hosted us there. Rick Cooper himself has been there and presented at their mayoral forum just last year with a very warm welcome. We got Contact on board because all of a sudden Contact's going, well, hang on, if you guys pull this off, we can build that power station a lot quicker and we can sell them some energy, and we also can sell them some direct heat, which they have now figured out they can make a lot more money out of. New Zealand Trade and Enterprises has so far funded a scoping study to the tune of $50,000 with Pori Consultants that is being established right now. So that's where the project's at right now. It's early stages, but Taupo's got its foot right in the door there, and it's a very exciting project because we're not talking 20, 30, 40 staff. It's multiples of that. Another one we've been working on quite a lot has been aquaculture, and you're probably going, why on earth would you even think about this? And the reason we're thinking about it, and I'll come to this in a later slide too, is that we actually found some industry partners, some businesses in this region who said, we will fund this study or co-fund the study because we see benefit in this. So we've got some business investors who've actually put in some money. We've went to the University of Waikato and said, look, we know nothing about aquaculture really. Would you be interested in a study to partner with us on this? And they went, oh, hell yes. And they actually gave us one of their brightest, which is Anton Williams, you see on the far right, the young gentleman there. He's been based here in Taupo for the last 2 months, on and off, and he's been talking to the likes of Contact, he's been talking to the Prawn Park, but he's also got a much further network now outside. Now he's been talking to MAF, Fish, he's been talking to the Bay of Connections also, who's put some money into this. And there's a national review of the freshwater aquaculture law coming up in about March, April this year. So this study will form a basis of the understanding and studies of what we want to see happen in here. And the businesses behind that have said we're very, very interested in it. And some of the things that have come out of this have been like ornamentals and all sorts of things that we never even thought about. But again, with the help of geothermal, we can work very well here in Taupo. The third one we're working on is the geothermal heat park. Again, we highlighted that last year. That's been sort of coming along quite well. When we started talking to Contact about a year ago, for starters, they weren't very much in the headspace at all of using direct heat for them. It was all about electricity generation, and it's just they've really changed their thinking a little bit too. They've just formed a 5-man team that sits actually here in Taupo to look at direct heat, so direct heat uses. They've figured out by now they can make more money selling direct heat than they can selling electricity. So they're very, very interested in working with us. ECA has come to the party, and they've given us some assurances for a $20,000 grant to do a study on actual users, identifying users, up to 40 users that would fit the criteria, that are large-scale employers that would have a serious cost saving, an operational cost saving by relocating to Taupo. Because anywhere can say, well, come in, we'll give you some rates relief, we'll give you cheap land. That's not a big attraction anymore. What we want to do with this project is to actually identify operational savings for those businesses, then approach those 40 businesses, and we have some funds set aside for that. Bring them here, host them in this region, and say to them, look, here's a dotted line, just sign here, and it'll be really, really good for you. So we've partnered up, contacts involved in this, GNS. We've got Andy Blair here today with us. She's one of our trustees. She's sort of heading this project. And New Zealand Trade and Enterprise has also committed funds for this project. And that is really exciting for us, because if we can host 40 people here, law of average will say 2 or 3 will stick. And that's sort of the plan we have there. So moving on, I just want to talk about a couple of principles and founding sort of foundation stones that sort of work really well for us and that we really wanted to share with you today. One is that the leveraging your money makes it go further. That's a really obvious thing for us. And what we've done this year, in the last year, we've just really built a really good network. Anything from business mentors on the smaller scales to Youth Town, who's funded some cash flow and business games for the local schools, all the way to ECA, Contact, our trustees who give their time. They're only getting paid $100 per meeting, but Sue, for example, puts in an amazing amount of time. Greg Stebbing, I can call pretty much day or night. Any problems with the forestry, he's just available. And money just doesn't buy you this sort of help and support. And that is one of the things that we've worked really well, and we continue to work to make sure we can just stretch that dollar just a little bit further. And passionate people is really something that's really important to this whole thing. And we believe we have a pool of them. And the other thing I want to talk about just briefly a little bit is why have we gotten so quickly so much buy-in by some of these companies? And we believe the most important thing for us is that we are seen as kind of facilitators who sit outside council. So we're not there to build the business ourselves. We don't have either the funds or the means to do any of this. We are just purely there to put the customers or new business that want to relocate here together with the businesses and the entrepreneurs in this district and then get the hell out of the way. And the people in the middle, like the University of Waikato, Bay of Connections, ECA, they're all really good, but they're just enablers. They'll help us to make those connections, enable us to just make these things just go faster. But that's really opened a lot of doors to us where we can step into the business and say, look, we're here, we're not council, but we're also not business. Once we get you together, we'll get the hell out of. And people have shared amazing information for us which we would have never gotten otherwise. And one of the enablers there is definitely the business team. Will's sitting over here, he's hiding. And that's been really good because some of the things I can't open is like doors in Wellington or in the Waikato Regional Council where Will can put his council hat on and say, well, hang on, how can we make this happen? How can we help with this? So it's a really, really good coming together of all these people, organisations that enable us. So I just wanted to share that with you, and that's really, really crucial for us that we're seen as facilitators. Moving on to the next thing, we want to look forward a bit now. Like, this is what we've done, this is all good, but we want to move forward, and we want to share with you a little bit about what we've been doing this year and some of our thoughts processes. So where's this going to lead into in the end? It's actually going to be one of our strategy papers, which at this point is a discussion document. It's like a pathway, which we'll share with you, and I'll have Sue talk to you about that. But we wanted to share with you the stepping stones of how we got to this point. So we sat together with a couple of people just over a wine, like we sometimes do, with a napkin in the middle kind of thing, and said, now look, let's assume Taupo is a shopping mall. And if Taupo would be a shopping mall, like what lots of big shopping malls do, when they build them, they'll look for the anchor tenants. And they say, if we can find the anchor tenants on the sides, 3, 4, 5 anchor tenants, like Harvey Norman's, whatever they are of this world, then the rest of the mall will take care of itself, and all the other businesses will just fill up. So let's just assume for just 1 second that Taupo is a shopping mall. And what are our anchor tenants? So when we looked around, we decided like forestry's got to be one of our anchor tenants. We said agriculture is one of our anchor tenants, and aquaculture is a subset of that. We've got tourism, that's obviously quite important, employs about a third of all the people in the district. And there's geothermal. which in the past we sort of ignored a little bit, but that really is a bit like the oil boom, like hot stuff bubbling out of the ground and people want to pour concrete over it. We're saying, well, hang on, let's just use this. So geothermal is a crucial thing in this whole thing. And what works really well in Taupo is that we have lots of connections that make use between all three of those things or two of those things. Where, for example, the prawn park makes use of tourism and geothermal. So we said, well, hang on, there's something quite a little bit missing in this area here. So we just went back, threw this napkin out, got another napkin, and we started off this way around. Same once again, but then the fifth one, which we thought is really, really important, is people. And it gets overlooked quite a lot. And again, like lots of the progress we've made in the last year there, we wouldn't have been able to without the people that we've met and the people that have helped us. So we decided people has to be in this diagram there as well, because otherwise Taupo wouldn't be where it is. There's lots of people that like the lifestyle they have here. They relocate their business here. They're highly mobile. They don't have to live here. They choose to live here because they want to live here. And we've got to make use of those people and connect with them, because they're going to ultimately build those businesses. I've yet to see a business being built by anything else than people. So we took this whole diagram there and took it to someone to make it look a bit prettier, and put this into sort of the brand that we had, which again fitted quite, funnily enough, really, really well together with this concept we had. And then we took this concept to a board meeting. We had a facilitator come down, and we sat our board members down and some invited guests and fleshed this out a bit more. And I'd like to hand over to Sue now, who'd just fill you in of what we came up with on this day. And today also we are going to launch the first draft of this vision and the strategy, which I'll hand out in a minute. So this is the first time it's being seen in the public. We're going to go out and consult far and wide. Like, we're not here to tell people this is what it is. We think this is just it. Everybody run with us. We're actually going to go out and consult with people, show them what we thought about, and get